Before I started self-improvement, I was just a lonely, depressed, and to be honest, strange kid. Like, I was just a bit weird. Now, when I got onto self-improvement, right, and I saw all of these self-improvement influencers teaching me loads of different things, like going to the gym, presenting myself in a certain way, thinking in a certain way, getting rid of bad habits, I knew that it was something I wanted to work on. But the issue was that I always got stuck on consistency. What I'd do is I'd work, and then fall back to the start. I wouldn't stay consistent. I'd work, do it for a bit, and then go back to the start. And that was the issue. And I call that phase one. I think a lot of people struggle with that, right? Now, I've obviously come up with my own way of getting over that. I'm going to teach you exactly what that is in this video. I'm going to get you from A to B, and you're going to clear this phase one. However, it is quite a lengthy process. It's not a flip of the switch where you just, boom, straight away you've got over phase one. You know it's a lengthy process, like everything in self-improvement. Self-improvement is when you work towards something to improve yourself. So you know that this isn't going to be a quick fix. However, I do have an offer for you. If you would like to make this process 10 times quicker, I actually have a mentality course in the description. Now, before you click off, right? I'm not here to just shove down a course down your throat, right? Because like I said, you can still get the result you want just with this video, but the course makes it quicker. How does it make it quicker? You have an issue. You're thinking of a solution for the issue, but if you are struggling with the issue and you don't find an answer to it, you need to realize that your certain or your specific mental state or the way you are thinking about this solution isn't correct. You need to change the way you think about the issue. So the mentality course basically teaches you universal techniques to deal with the issue. It is going to boost you way further than any other video will. It teaches you every single mentality shift you need to apply to all of the issues in your life. But remember, you don't need it. You can still use just this video that you're going to get for free to solve your issue, especially being that it's phase one, because you've come here, you've got an issue, and this is going to fix it. But the mentality course is going to fix it 10 times quicker, and that paired with this is going to be amazing for you. Not shoving it down your throat, but that is an option for you. If you really do want to consider it, the link is in the description. Please do go and click on it and then just have a look. But without further ado, we're going to get on with this video, and I'm going to teach you everything you need to do to get over phase one. So, right, after that long intro, we're just going to get straight into it. So, the first part of getting over phase one is, well, step one is actually quitting the bad habits. You need to quit the things that are holding you back so that you could advance further. Right, what do? You think less. Why do you think less? The reason you think less is because when you do think, or your way of coming up with a solution is always going to be wrong because your brain isn't in the correct state. Take an athlete versus someone who doesn't work out as an example. Realistically, but excluding all of the physical differences, what is the difference between the two people? It's the mindset, right? The person who's the athlete clearly has a more disciplined perspective on how they approach their workouts compared to someone that doesn't even do it. Does that make sense? It's the different way you think about it. So, if you aren't getting the results you want, being that you're past phase one, right, it's clearly the way you think about approaching it. So you need to change the way you think about approaching it. But before we do that, you need to think less. So you need to do stuff impulsively or train yourself to do things that don't involve your brain. Now, we can't just jump straight to the end because that would be too easy, right? And life doesn't work like that. So we need to do marginal gains. Marginal gains is key, basically doing something small a load amount of times so it gets into your head so you can just do it automatically. And then once you do that, you can build up the amount of times or the variety of different things you do to strengthen that habit in your brain and strengthen the neurological pathway so that you can actually retrain your brain to do the things that you need to be doing. Right. So, a good example is wake up and do 10 push-ups straight away. As soon as you wake up, 10 push-ups. You should understand that I'm awake now, 10 push-ups. That's it. You train it to do the said thing. All it is you pair one habit with something you already do. So if you have a morning routine, which is like you wake up, you make your bed, you like get in the shower, you go brush your teeth, whatever you do, pick something from your routine and add something to it. So it's automatic. So it's one stimuli equals two outcomes. So for example, waking up equals doing 10 push-ups and making your bed. depending on whatever it is. You can decide what it is, but that's what we're doing. That's the example we're going to go with. Then you do it for 1 week. What you're going to do is basically every single day you wake up, you just do 10 push-ups, 10 push-ups, 10 push-ups until it's impulsive, until you don't think about it. You don't think about it, just, I'm awake, poof, 10 push-ups. You're just doing 10 push-ups. Forget thinking, oh, should I do them? No, oh, I'm awake now, over the covers, 10 push-ups. And then what you do after that point, if you are in a really poor negative mental state and you can't do anything else, just get back in bed. Or, well, I don't want you to get back in bed, but if that's what you do, it's fine. As long as you've connected the two different activities. So waking up, like doing 10 press-ups and then making your bed, right? It's the connectivity that makes it, you don't have to think about it, if that makes sense, right? And that's the objective. Right. Basically, it trains your habit by ignoring negative thoughts, okay? Because remember, you're not in the correct mental state to be getting over this issue. Remember the athlete versus someone who doesn't work out mentality, right? So then you can then apply this to other areas. So you can do this to whatever you do. So for example, if it's you brush your teeth, then do 10 push-ups, then cool, right? Whatever you apply it to, right? We've just spoken about this. Then you train, and then after 1 week, you take away a habit. You take away a habit, right? Now, the reason your mental state is so negative is because of the things you do. It's the things you do, right? The reason the athlete got to that mental state is because of the activities they did. The things they did changed their mentality. But how they got there is they probably got a coach that told them to do it, right? And obviously they probably paid for them, so they invested, right? But the coach got them to do it regardless of how they felt. And after they did it for a long enough time period, their mental shift changed. Meaning that they had a mentality that was prepared or prepared them to do the hard activities. Right. So, you need to take away the things that stop you from thinking negatively or thinking about not doing it, right? We've just spoken about ignoring them, right? But it's so much easier if you can ignore them but also not have them there, right? So take away a habit, right? Now, realistically, the things that are going to stop you from getting on here are distractions. So a good example of a distraction is social media. So what we're going to do, after 1 week, you continue doing the push-ups, you take away a habit, so no social media, right? And you keep doing the push-ups. So the concept is, week 1, you add a good habit. So for the first week, you do 10 push-ups every single time you wake up. And then maybe it's, you know, every single time you get a glass of water, you have an apple. Just something simple, right? It's pairing good habits with like things you do, right? And then after week 1, you go on to week 2, you keep doing the good habits, but you take away a bad habit, so no social media, right? So week 1 is, you do 10 push-ups every single time you wake up, right? But you go on social media. Week 2, you still do 10 push-ups every single time you wake up, but you don't do social media, right? So it compounds. And then you just basically repeat this, so you can start adding more good habits and bad habits until you've completely gotten rid of all of the bad habits and you've got good habits, right? That is step 1, and we'll get on to step 2 in just a sec. Right, before we get on to step 2, I'm just going to basically address the fact that obviously in step 1, you've been getting rid of habits that, you know, destroy your mental state. If there is larger issues you are struggling with, such as maybe potentially watching porn, if that is a big thing, then I'm going to link some videos that I've already got on you know, quitting that. I'm going to put them in the card, so watch those. Obviously that's going to take a process to get rid of. Down the line, I've got an inner circle, basically. I'm not going to promote it, but it just teaches everything. There's going to be a thing in there that'll teach you how to quit porn, like actually, like in depth. But those videos are very useful. You could absolutely use those yet again for free. I'll just put them in the link. That's just to get rid of like the big main pointers. But we'll get on to step 2. And yeah, literally what it is goals and organisation. So you got rid of the bad habits and now you need to actually get something that you can stick to. So you need a goal first, right? Which is basically pick something you want to achieve. Now, I've already made a video about how to stay like dedicated to one specific goal. Reason being, just brief summary of what that video is. Everyone picks too many goals to follow. Basically, you want to pick one and just be streamlined on that one thing because you're more likely to follow it if it's only one. It's less complication, right? So pick something you want to achieve, pick one thing, write it down. So if you don't already have a notebook, get a notebook and write in depth what you want to achieve. Literally, I want to do this, how am I going to get it? X, Y, Z, right? You literally need to write it down. When you write it down, not on your phone, not on your laptop, and like not anything digital, and you actually write it down on a piece of paper, it goes in your brain more, right? And then to match that is you get a goal board. So you get basically maybe like a pin board or like, you know, those little wooden weird things when you put pins in it, you can put images up there, right? So get some images off Google, print them out of like the specific goal like related to it, put it on there, and this thing that you've written down about what your goal is, tear that out of the sheet of paper, pin that on the board as well. Put that in your room or somewhere where you frequent often, so wherever you work, maybe at home, or wherever you, like just a thing you look at all the time, a place where you can look at it all the time. So you know that when you're being consistent towards your goals, if you ever forget about it, or if it doesn't, you know, it's not a constant, you always have a constant reminder just there for you so you can stay consistent to it. That's not in-depth advice, but it's just something to remind you once you get on it. Because now you're in a mental state, hopefully, step one's quite long, but once you've gotten rid of and weaned off all of the bad habits and you've now adjusted and added things into your like routine or whatever you do that increases your mental state, then it's going to be so much easier for you, right? Because you've changed your perspective towards the goal you want to achieve. Remember the athlete versus the person that doesn't do it. You're now impulsively doing the actions you need to do, right? And because you've gotten rid of the negative things like social media, it's a big thing. Maybe going on a dopamine detox, I'll probably make a full video in depth on how to do that. But if you've taken all the bad habits away, it's going to be easier because you're going to be more streamlined. So basically linking this in with organisation, making a schedule, now that you don't have distractions, making a schedule is going to be easier and actually sticking to it. So, generally speaking, when you make a schedule, get the hard things done out of the way first, right? So, pick a time you wake up. Maybe that's 6 o'clock, right? You want to also have in your head a time you go to bed. So, you need 8 hours of sleep. So, 10 latest, right? I've already made a video on how to get your sleep sorted. That's in how to increase your testosterone naturally, I believe. I think I've already made that video. That is going to be out, or that's already out. Yeah, so pick a time you wake up. Pick the hardest thing you usually do. For me, is go gym. So I wake up at 6, I go gym straight away. Right, so pick the hardest thing you absolutely do. Obviously, everything you've learned in step 1, you still keep doing. And then basically you section off your schedule into specific parts from hardest to easiest. That is a trick that no one will actually tell you. Do the hardest things first. And then change your messaging. So this is along with the goal board. Don't hang around with people that basically tell you can't do shit. Don't listen to music that tells you can't do shit. Don't tell yourself that you can't do shit, so you need to improve your mental health, which is basically doing gratitude journaling and meditation, which is basically, you should already be doing that because you're on self-improvement. Or you would have at least already understand that. I'm not going to tell you that because this YouTube channel is literally meant to teach you all of the things that other YouTube channels might miss over. So when someone tells you to meditate, I'm not just going to sit here and tell you to meditate. You should already know that, right? I'm going to teach you the shit that like actually gets you the most headway. So imagine it now. Stage 1, right? Your initial goal was to be consistent with your self-improvement. You've gotten rid of the bad habits. You've gotten rid of the distractions, right? You've gotten rid of like the ability to, you've gained an ability to ignore your thoughts, whether they're negative or positive, and do the actions anyway. So discipline, right? Now, and those are on marginal things, right? Because you've paired activities to things you already do, right? So it shouldn't be extra brain calories, or you shouldn't use up extra brain calories. Now, because you've organized like your good habits and your bad habits, you now have a goal to follow, right? And a correct schedule to follow. Step 1 and step 2 merge together. Once you've done both of these, you're over phase 1. You just need to maintain it. Maintain it. That's it. I know I've been quite slow in this step, but once you do step 1, it's quite easier from then. It's a lot easier from then. But yet again, that is phase one. That's literally phase one. And once you get there, you can go look at some of my other videos and expand. That's where expansion comes. But yeah, that's the end of the video. If you do want to take an interest in my mentality course to make this 10 times easier and 10 times quicker, link in the description. Other than that, I'll see you in another one.